World Bank?
So investment promotion, for context, well, the World Bank, as you probably know, is a massive organisation based in Washington, close to 20,000 employees and consultants doing everything from trade and investment advisory through to healthcare advice, transportation, infrastructure advice, various different things. But our little unit, the area that we work, investment promotion, is all about advising countries, regions and cities on how they can best organise themselves to attract foreign companies who want to go and establish in their localities. So essentially it's a competitive game where if you imagine all the different countries, regions, city departments and agencies, you're talking about 15,000 entities around the world that are all clamouring for mobile businesses that are looking for their next footprint abroad. And what the World Bank does, what we do in investment promotion, is we advise those entities, be they national, city, regional, public and private, or just public, on how they can do better strategies, how they can organise themselves better, how they can have the right pitches to investors. We can train them. We do all sorts of different things with them and actually guide them onto getting the most in terms of what we call good investment, foreign investment. So bringing in capital into a market, but also creating good, sustainable jobs, high-skilled jobs, technology transfer, all of these things. I mean, that's one of the reasons why the World Bank is interested in this area. And it's not just about money, it's about skills, it's about upskilling people, it's about bringing in new technologies, patents, know-how, and all of these things.
So it's all about getting new investment in skills into other countries and making that smoother.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And did you, because you're, I suppose, the only person on the panel who's got a master's, was that a prerequisite for getting into this line of work in terms of investment and consultancy?
It was never officially put as a prerequisite.
Yeah.
I don't know of anyone in the small team we're working who doesn't have a master's. I think if you didn't have a master's but found different routes and had relevant experience in a particular area that the World Bank works in, they would consider that.
Mm-hmm.
But most people do typically have a master's.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
And you, it looks like after your master's you moved to Brussels.
Yes.
And did some kind of research and project management posts.
Yeah.
And then got your first gig as a consultant in Budapest.
That's right.
Is that right?
Well, so I basically slallomed around Europe for the best part of 7 years. I went to the British Institute.
And why was that? Like, why the slalom?
Well,
you know,
well, I suppose when I went to the university, to ULIP, I'd obviously signed myself up for 3 years, like most students, the age of 18. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do after that to begin with. But 3 years ended up turning into 7 in the sense that, as with all these, as with everyone, you know, you get into something while you're studying and one thing leads to another. But without telling my whole life story, it was at the British Institute in Paris where I got really interested in EU affairs. So a master's in European studies felt like a no-brainer for me. That took me to Warsaw in Eastern Europe. And we basically all decamped and went to Brussels after finishing our masters because it was the natural place to go and find work. And so, as you already said, I ended up in a research consultancy and also a think tank for the best part of a year, and that opened me up. That area I was working in was policy advocacy. That is something that bigger agencies in communications, PR agencies and communications consultancies do. So I then got an opportunity to go to Budapest. So I went back to Eastern Europe and spent some time there working in PR and communications. And then after 7 years living in Europe, I thought it might be nice to actually come back home and see what it was like to live back in the UK. So I moved back to London, stayed in the communications industry for some time. But it was at that stage, and this was kind of 5-6 years into my career, where I was doing a few different things. I think I eventually found my feet and thought, actually, this niche area of nation branding, of destination marketing, and within that, how nations and cities and regions compete for businesses, attracted my attention and interest, and that, for me, was the area I decided to go down. So it was kind of 6 years in to my career where I really started to decide specialising. It wasn't before that.
So it wasn't you. Yeah, you were kind of experimenting a little bit after ULIP, after your masters, and found it's taken you 6 or 7 years. I think that's really nice to know. I think that happens with a lot of us, that we don't know exactly what it is we want to do straight away, and it takes some experimentation, and sometimes a whole lifetime of experimentation.
I think it's okay to sidestep in your
Right.
career, especially in the early stages of your career, and maybe later on as well. This idea that you do something that you find interesting, not necessarily the only thing, and then in doing that you will find different avenues, different areas that may take you into a slightly different line of business, which is essential. I mean, I would say even investment promotion today is a form of communications and marketing. So at its core, you know, the interests that I have haven't changed. They've just become a bit more refined.